George Wallace was shot down this afternoon as he campaigned in Maryland, not far from Washington. We are dispensing with our normal format to bring you that story. Howard?
At last report, Governor Wallace's condition was described as critical but stable at Holy Cross Hospital in Silver Spring, Maryland, just outside Washington. Police were reported holding one suspect in the shooting. He was described by an eyewitness as a blond youth in his 20s or early 30s. The 52-year-old Wallace had just finished talking to a crowd at a shopping center in Laurel, Maryland, and had stepped from behind a bulletproof podium when the shots rang out. More on the story from ABC's Stephen Gear.
As always seems to be the case with this kind of tragedy, there was no inkling of trouble. Governor Wallace had encountered heckling earlier in the day as he toured the Maryland suburbs of Washington, but the crowd at Laurel seemed receptive and friendly. Governor Wallace had just finished speaking and had taken off his coat, was shaking hands, when 4 or 5 shots were fired, 2 of them recorded in this film by ABC News cameraman Charlie Jones. Governor Wallace's wife, Cornelia, who was nearby when he was shot, bent over him. Later, she said he seemed to be conscious. The shooting took place so quickly and produced so much confusion that details are still not totally clear. One campaign worker, Jack Ingram, provides a description of the would-be assassin. Ingram said he was trying to shake hands with the governor when a man nearby kept shouting, "Hey, George, hey, George." Ingram said the man stuck a gun right in Governor Wallace's stomach and fired. Doctors say there were 3 major wounds in the leg, arm, and chest. After the shots, bystanders jumped on the attacker, as you saw, and 3 other people reportedly suffered gunshot wounds. The suspect was rushed away by police. He was reportedly injured, was taken to Leland Memorial Hospital in nearby Riverdale, Maryland. Ingram described him as about 30 with short blonde hair.
You ain't getting up.
Come on, get these people back.
Get these people back. Come on.
Prince George's County Police say the suspect is in police custody at Leland Memorial Hospital. A spokesman said the only thing we know is that he is a white male. Maryland State Police put out an all-points bulletin for a blue Cadillac bearing Georgia license plates and supposedly headed towards Savage, Maryland, a small community north of Laurel. The connection of the car with the shooting was not immediately clear. Wallace was in the midst of Election Eve campaigning for Maryland's Democratic primary. It was his 3rd try for the White House. He ran, of course, in 1968 as the candidate of the American Independent Party. The crowd broke up quickly after the shooting. Among those who remained, a woman wearing a Wallace straw hat approached a bearded, long-haired young man wearing a button supporting George McGovern of South Dakota. She said, "Are you happy about this? Is this what you wanted?" He said no.
Please move back now. Let this ambulance get out of here. Please move back, ladies and gentlemen. Let the ambulance get out of here. Please move back.
The final word on the tragedy still not in. Stephen Gear, ABC News, Washington.
Wallace made his first attempt at national influence in 1964, but the time was not ripe. He made a strong showing that year in Indiana and Maryland primaries, but the conservative money and enthusiasm went to Barry Goldwater, and Governor Wallace dropped out. In 1968, the middle class concerned with the way things were going had spread more extensively into the north, and Governor Wallace ran as a third-party candidate. He finished nationally with 45 electoral votes, gaining only 5 southern states. Some observers thought Wallace was finished as a national figure, but this year he has made his strongest showing, and this time it has been within the framework of the Democratic Party. He announced last January he would run in the Democratic primaries.
The people of the country want to be let alone and come from under unnecessary controls of big government. And therefore I am a conscientious candidate for the presidential nomination here in the state of Florida. And I call upon the citizens of this state, regardless of their color, whether they are black or white, rich or poor, whether they are in labor, business, management, whether they are retired or in active pursuits, or whether they are native-born citizens of this country, or whether or not they are citizens by choice.
The theme of Governor Wallace's campaign this year has been send a message to Washington. He began, as did George McGovern, as a one-issue man, but his issue was busing as McGovern's was Vietnam. Wallace quickly broadened his appeal to touch the feeling of millions of Americans that their government was unresponsive and detached, and that nobody cared about the average, hard-working, tax-paying citizen. He kept busing as a recurrent theme, as in this appearance in Michigan last Friday.
In my judgment, when you vote for George Wallace on the May the 16th, besides giving them the shakes and knocking their eye teeth out and giving them the St. Vitus dance, you're going to bring a stop to this senseless busing in Michigan and throughout the United States. Thank you very much.